On the Bella, I think that the real winner are the thousands of South Africans who made submissions. You know, SGBs from across the country, political parties, trade unions, citizens groups, communities. That led to Parliament passing, both the National Assembly as well as the NCOP, passing Bella in its current form. And this is why, despite the 3 months delay, the President has proclaimed the Bella in its entirety. So I think that it's a win for all South Africans, and that's certainly the approach of the ANC. I'm sure other parties will try and spin it, but it's our view that it's a win for all South Africans. The question about norms and standards and what it means for Afrikaans schools. If one look at the issue about mother tongue education, and it's something that's been going on for quite a while, since the 5th administration, the Department of Basic Education has begun to look at how do you extend mother tongue education beyond grade 3, which we have at the moment. This year, the introduction of science and some of the mathematics into grade 4. If you look at most other countries across the world, when they have mother tongue education, they tend to have it up till grade 8, grade 10, even up to grade 12, because it's much better for children in terms of cognitive development to learn in their mother tongue and then learn a second or third language in their mother tongue. So, for example, if I take my example, I went to Afrikaans school because that's my mother tongue. I did Afrikaans up till matric. I went to UWC. We then had to switch to do in English, but I was able to cope because my cognitive development was in my mother tongue. So the question about the introduction of mother tongue is a really critical part of improving the quality of education, and I think that we agree that the Department of Basic Education, in terms of phasing in mother tongue education in all South African languages up to grade 12, is in the right direction. Now, whether it will mean the disappearance of Afrikaans as a language of instruction, one of the things that have happened during this 3 months is that the Pan-South African Language Board met with the Afrikaner organizations, with political parties and other interested stakeholders. And they were at pains to stress that their responsibility is, according to the Constitution, firstly, to make sure that all, and we now have 12 official languages, as well as the Khoi and San languages, are protected. So Afrikaans shouldn't single itself out from other official languages because it's treated the same. In addition to that, the Pan-SALP also has the responsibility to look at languages that have been disadvantaged. And this is African indigenous languages have been disadvantaged because of apartheid. If you look at the Union of South Africa in 1910, the Union of South Africa recognized 2 official languages. It recognized Dutch and later Afrikaans and English, which means that for that entire period, these 2 languages were advantaged. And this is why it's important that we have to look at how do we push the development of our indigenous African languages, including the Khoi and San languages. Afrikaans is not going to disappear. It's one of the official languages. It's spoken by a broader community than just the Afrikaner community. And for them to isolate themselves, we think that is a problem, rather than to see themselves as part of that community of 12 South African languages. The final question with regards to Bella is about the norms of standards. Now, the development of norms and standards are normal because the law can't cover all of the details, and therefore it's a way of looking at how do you implement. We hear what the leader of the DA said, and the emphasis on the DA minister, But we also want to use this opportunity to remind them that the statement of intent talks about a commitment to the rule of law. Now, part of the commitment of the rule of law is that if I'm a minister, whether you're from the ANC, the PAC, or Rise Mzansi, you have to implement what is the law of the Republic. That's simply what it means. And this goes for all of the ministers in the Government of National Unity. And even if it wasn't on the statement of intent, you can't decide what you implement and what you don't implement. So we're certainly not worried that there will be delays. We think that the minister will do the right thing, because that's what a commitment towards the rule of law means. Just to correct the issue, I mean, most of the Afrikaans schools have children from other communities already in their schools. What the Bella does and the provisions in Bella is to basically say that you can't discriminate against learners from other language groups because you are a single medium instruction school. So the norms and standards will then have to address the issues about how does what is the procedure that the head of department will follow if they find out that indeed there is a discrimination happen, and whether that is in Gauteng or in KZN or in Western Cape, the law applies the same across the country. You can't have a different rules or norms and standards for one part of the country and for the other part. And we will certainly request both the ANC study group on basic education. We will do that as a subcommittee of the NEC on education to make sure that those norms and standards are finalized as soon as possible, and to push for that, but also look at, as the schools open at the beginning of next year, to be able to make sure that we don't have the discrimination. Because the reason why you have this provision in Bella is because over the last 30 years, we've had numerous occasions where students were excluded from attending schools on the basis of language or other policies. And the courts have said to the department and to government, can you please make sure that the powers of SGBs as well as the powers of the department are clear? And this is what the Bella Act does. So we all look forward to the full implementation of Bella, because it has many clauses, the access to compulsory grade R, the diversity in terms of religion, in terms of dress, and all of those issues that we need to take forward. And we certainly look forward to making sure that quality education becomes a reality for everybody. Thank you very much.
In relation to the SABC win-win situation, there's no win-win situation. We put the Bella Act for 3 months for engagement. That's what we did. The Act has come to full cycle in terms of the law. We did that in the spirit of the GNU, to engage with partners, and we're part and parcel of that. And henceforth, we want to thank everybody who took part in that particular process. It is not a compromise to say the minister must determine the norms and standards for language policy. South Africa's Schools Act of 1996 provides for this. It is a standard practice. So it's not something that cannot be done. So if the minister does not implement the decisions of government, in government, which have come full cycle in terms of the law, there will be consequences for that. And we don't think that we will get to that stage. At this present moment, all political parties in the clearinghouse have engaged and found each other, and the president have actually announced in this regard. So I think we need to make that particular point very clear. The people who have understood the terrain of the government of national unity as something else. We have always understood it in the ANC as a tactical intervention and not as a melting pot. We have understood that we are engaged in a process as a country with arch rivals, and so to say, with people that we don't agree with politically and ideologically. And it's not only the Bella Act, there will be other issues that we don't agree to. And we have actually said that those who occupy positions in the GNU will want to occupy those positions to demonstrate that they can do better. The ANC, with the largest party in the GNU, has got the responsibility to demonstrate to South Africans that we can do things and work for communities and deliver for communities. And that is what is really important for us. So the Bella Act, there's been no doubt that our president is directed, and at the same time is a person with a vision of understanding what it means to work for unity in our country. So anyone who wishes to claim easy victories outside the proper understanding of where the ANC is going, it's just populism, simple. There's not been any doubt about the terrain in our movement and the organization. So there are people who want to become superheroes and who become super revolutionaries. We allow them the space because the ANC ngugalele bhayini. But we have never been in doubt about this leadership and where it is taking us to, because it draws direction from the collective wisdom of our movement. The DA is doing what it's supposed to do as an opposition party. We can't, every time Helen Zille opens a mouth and speak, we run after her. She's doing what she's mandated to do from the point of view of their constituency. They organized a march there at Voortrekker Hoogte, a big march there, mobilizing their communities and all of that. It is them. It reflects on them, AfriForum and all of that. We stand for what we want to stand for, non-racialism and unity of the South African people. And that's what we stand for. We are for transformation, not for superior exclusion of one group at the expense of the other. Nelson Mandela said it from the dock: I fought white domination. And therefore I stand against black domination. We stand for non-racialism. That's what we stand for as the African National Congress. What other political parties do around us is what they do. It reflects on them. We will fight for what is right, transformation in this country, equality for all in our nation. And that is what we stand for as the African National Congress. So there's no confusion on our part. Political parties will speak for themselves and what they stand for and what they stand to gain from their own perspectives. But we stand for the people of this country, and the perspectives that we stand for are the perspectives that you don't change when the weather has changed and tomorrow you speak a different language. You stand for what you believe in, and our strategy and tactics is our guide in relation to what we are pursuing. That is why we have never been confused. That GNU can never be a strategic goal, it's a tactical maneuver. And if you say to us, the DA have accepted to participate is a sellout position, then you are getting it wrong, comrades. That's what we have been saying. You are getting it wrong. From a point of view of just pure strategy and tactics, you are getting it wrong because it's a tactical maneuver. We didn't want to go for any of the options of coalitions. Coalition of grand coalition, coalition of minority governance and all of that. We went for a broader approach. And others decided not to participate in it. We've got 10 political parties that are part of this GNU. and others for political expedience and trying to attack the ANC ideologically have said that, no, this is a coalition between the DA and the ANC. We have not been bothered about that because we believe in the principle. And at the end of the day, what is that principle? Is a guide of the strategy and tactics. We are actually addressed by people who don't know what they stand for as political parties. People who just follow an individual, who follow a person and believed in a person. We follow time-tested strategy and tactics approach of the African National Congress. And that is what we believe in. It will live beyond Ramaphosa as our president to the next generation. It is refined from time to time, from conference to conference, in relation to how we adapt as a party, in relation to the conditions that we face. We do not believe to be in the position that we are in forever. We want to come back. We will rebuild the ANC to be a stronger party, and that is what we are embarking upon as an organization and what we are doing today. DA minister, yes, it's a DA minister leading, but in a government of national unity. So ministers do as government prescribe. If you don't implement an act, you will be dismissed by the president. And it doesn't, ministers behave the same. So you are not, when you are in cabinet, you are serving at the behest of the president. So I don't think we'll get to that particular situation. I think we'll move ahead and this will be done. Of course, there's been distortions in the media about the fact that this bill will not be implemented in its entirety. No, there's no such. There's no such. Fake news is trafficking. It's been trafficked all over social media platforms, WhatsApp groups, the most bored people, WhatsApp groups. They lie to each other with impunity. You know, they just lie. It is the DA that says win-win. It is their characterization. There's no win-win there. Because the DA didn't want clause 4 and 5 and all of that in terms of the act. So that did not actually happen. Now, we're moving ahead with the implementation, and that's what is important. So I'm saying it's not a win-win. I've clarified the issue of the norms and standards, that since 1996, it is normal that the minister will actually implement the norms and standards. And it is not new with Kwarube. It's something that is there in the Act since 1996 that the ANC have ensured that this actually happens. ANC government. We didn't force. So we are a democratic, we understand we operate in a terrain in which we don't have a majority. We wouldn't have subjected this bill to this process if we were arrogant and we did not want to engage with others. We did, because there was a need to engage and come close to others, because there is no threat in this bill. It can only be a threat to racists. That's it. But from a point of view of non-racialism in this country, this bill is not, this act, not a bill, this act is not a threat to non-racialism, to a better South Africa, to a united nation. It's not a threat. It's not a threat. It just opened the doors of learning and culture to all. So those who want to preserve this system for a particular group or class only, they will oppose this bill. But this bill is victory to democracy, is victory to non-racialism, is victory to a united nation, and is victory to the GNU. So it's not, you know, a win-win situation as it's defined, and I don't want even to get there, because they can explain that win-win for themselves and their constituency. I'm not in the business of speaking for the DA, and we are not DA, we are the African National Congress. But it is a disappointment, this advance by the president and his cabinet, to those who said that we're going around preaching as though things won't happen. Preaching as though things won't happen. Even within our ranks, there are people who are just on top of their voices. Bella Act must be implemented. There is leadership here in this country, led by Ramaphosa of the ANC. Why will others speak on the sideways as though there is doubt about leadership, that it won't be provided? It is wrong. It is populist. It is populist. And we will act against populism in the ranks of the ANC. We will. We are observing it. It is not plurality of ideas, intellectualism, dissent, genuine. It is populism. Why will any leader of the ANC not have confidence that matters of this nature are being handled and driven at a political level by the leadership of the ANC? When the president decided on this matter, leadership was provided, structures were briefed. Why now do we have to go on the sidelines that this must, as though there is doubt that the leadership will renege on the program of the National Democratic Revolution? Our mandate is very clear in this government, is to advance the NDR. Other forces and political parties, strategic opponents like the DA and other parties, the new arrivalists and all of that, will be opposed to the ANC. And we've got to navigate in that space from time to time. It's a difficult period for the movement. It's a difficult period for the ANC. It is a difficult period for the NDR, but we don't give up. We will use our 40% to advance the National Democratic Revolution, because 6 million people in this country said, we believe in the ANC that it can continue to govern, and it must govern and govern well. That's why we cannot afford mismanagement and all of those things that are happening in some of the municipalities and all of that. We must advance. The program of renewal is going to be heightened in the new year going forward. And that is how we are going to win the trust of the people going forward. So we are not in an arrangement or a marriage where we are bound to agree. No, we are not. We're not in a marriage. We are in a coalition called Government of National Unity. And Government of National Unity are not constituted by like-minded people world over. They are constituted by people who don't agree. And every time the DA says this and that, it doesn't shock us one way or the other. Thank you very much.